Hello, welcome to He's Hop as Something's Off with me, just Joey T. I was looking at last week's video podcast. By the way, it's the video version is available on Spotify and on my YouTube channel, just Joey T. I was editing the video before it went up, and I noticed how shiny my face was in the last video. So I've got a ring light that's with my camera set up, so there's a lot of light coming at my face. And ring lights are really popular for influencers, YouTubers, TikToks, whatever, when people are doing video shoots, which is great. Ring lights are great for this type of stuff. But, when you have a lot of light coming right at your face, you really accentuates any oiliness or shininess your face might have. So what I usually do before I record the podcast is I go into my bathroom, look in the mirror, take a tissue, and just blot off any extra oil. Because sometimes though, you think you might look okay in a mirror. It's when you have lights coming at your face, just on camera. You don't always look on camera the way you might look in the mirror per se. So I was editing and I was like, oh man, I forgot to blot my face, and I didn't realize it until I loaded the footage onto my computer, and then it was when I was editing on my giant monitor, everything zoomed in, and wow, this is really, really oily. Anyways, welcome to another episode of the podcast. So last week, I rambled on and talked the entire 30 minutes about cruise advice because I think I was trying to give such high-level advice, and I just rambled on and on and on. Today, I thought I would zoom in on a more specific part of gay cruises. And some of you have written some great comments and feedback. Thank you so much. And one of them in particular wrote in as a comment for last week's episode. It's quite a long comment, but I'll summarize. So he and his partner are in an open relationship, and he loves to do circuit parties, but his partner is not as much of a circuit party person. So he's kind of worried about, he's more into circuit parties. His partner isn't. He likes to drink. His partner's not as much of a drinker. So basically, some advice about how couples going onto a gay cruise could get the most out of the cruising experience, regardless of, or especially when, the different partners have different interests in terms of activities, for example. So I will say, just as a disclaimer, I have not been in a relationship and been on the cruise at the same time. So every time I've been on a cruise, I was just completely single, and I didn't have anyone that there was one time where I wasn't dating someone. We were definitely not exclusive. There was this guy that I don't know, I don't want to say dating because that's got a certain connotation. We've went on a few dates by the time we went on that cruise. We've hung out one-on-one a few times, but it was very early, and it was not super serious, and it was not exclusive. We're not boyfriends. We're not a couple. So I will put that disclaimer out there. But I definitely have quite a few friends that are couples, kind of in a sort of similar situation where some of them are in open relationships. Some of them are not. Some of them, most of the couples I know, they do tend to both be into similar types of parties, whether that's a circuit party or more like an EDM type thing. They don't always go to the exact same activities. But in this particular case, the question is, you and your partner are not going to be always into the same activities. Maybe one drinks more than the other, one doesn't drink at all, and you like drinking. Some of these differences, how do you get the most out of the cruise experience when you're in that situation with your partner? So I would say, and this is something I've said a lot before, and it kind of applies to everyone, but specifically for a couple, there's a lot to do, a lot of activities you can partake in on a gay cruise beyond the parties, right? So take some time to do a little bit of research and just to brush up on some of the types of entertainment activities that are going on outside of the party. So in this case, you've already established with your partner that you like the circuit parties, your partner not as much, which is fine. But the parties usually only happen at night, or there's like a few like daytime afternoon ones, but there's like a million other things you can do, right? So figure out the activities and the entertainment and the type of things that you will both want to do together, and put like a bit of a priority on those, right? So those are things where you both want to do those things, therefore you're gonna go do them, and that would be like a priority, right? So there are a lot of shows that go on. There's a show every single night in the main theater that's kind of sort of the headline show that goes on every single night of the cruise. And there's variety there as well, just to take this one example. So there are drag queens that would do a whole drag show for like an hour. We've had people that are singers before, like amazing singers. Lavoie, for example, she's a drag queen, but her thing is like she's got an amazing voice, and she's done multiple of these Atlantis cruises before. And she's also like a comedian. Like she's also got comedy in her repertoire. So I've seen her show like at least 6 or 7 times, and I never tire of her. And I go see the show. She sings, so she does like mostly covers of other songs, but like in her own unique style. So great, amazing voice. And she also does like jokes in between that are like so funny. It's like my kind of comedy and humor, for example. But that's just one example. Especially for couples as well, there are also more low-key activities that are specifically geared towards couples. One that I mentioned before, actually I've never mentioned this before, but there are couples nights, which is more like a social activity. One example is there's on most of the cruises, there's a couples dinner. So couples, they can sign up for this dinner, and basically you would all meet up at like one of the restaurants. And it's everyone is this for couples. So couples, they sign up for this. They would just go to the meeting spot wherever the date and time is, and then they can dine with other couples, and they get to meet with other couples. So the way they do it at the restaurant is they'll have these large tables. They'll seat multiple different couples at the same table. Maybe there's a table for 8, so you get 4 different couples there, and everybody, you get to meet other couples. You get to meet friends and have a dinner at the same time. Sometimes it's dinner. Sometimes there's also like a little meet and greet at a bar just before dinner, if you kind of prefer that more of a social type of a setting for couples, right? Go have some date nights, right? And it doesn't have to be a pre-planned thing by Atlantis, and it doesn't have to be like a big show or whatever. There are other things that you and your hubby can do, whether that's just like doing a meal. You can get massages together. You can go like rock climbing together. You can go to wherever. There are a lot of different things on the cruise ship. So sit down with your partner and just make sure you know about some of the activities you can do outside of the parties, because you already identified that's an area of difference between the two of you. And put a bit of a priority like to the activities and things that you both want to see. What are some entertainers or performers or singers or comedians that you both want to attend the shows for? Mark those down. What are some date night type things? What are some activities you both want to do? What about excursions at the different ports, right? That you both might be interested in. Write those down and kind of let that be your anchor for the things that you are going to do together with the two of you, right? So that would be probably my first piece of advice. Now, when it comes to things that you might not both want to do, you don't want to necessarily feel like you are holding back your partner, or your partner is going to be like holding you back from doing those things. If you just talk about some of the things you want to do, because when you're looking at all the activities, you're going to be like, oh, I want to go to these circuit parties, and your partner might be like, I'm not sure I want to. If you kind of are on the same page and you know about the activities that you want to do, and your partner doesn't, and vice versa, then it's just going to be like, okay, one of you can go to the parties, and the other person, they can go do something else. And that's how I've seen most other couples handle it. There's not always going to be things that you want to do that your partner also wants to do. There's always going to be times where like you want to do something, your partner doesn't, or vice versa. It's not that much different on a ship versus when you're like at home. Just think, maybe you want to go to the bars and your partner just doesn't want to go to the bar, so your partner stays in. It's not that much different. It's not massively different on a cruise ship, to be really honest. The party specifically, there's a party every single night. They get going at around like 11 p.m. midnight. And if your partner is not a like party person, your partner, there are other shows that go on till late in the night as well. And after like midnight, there's not that much going on, to be really, really honest. So maybe your partner just has like goes to bed a little bit earlier, or, I doubt someone's going to want to stay up till 3 or 4 a.m. when they are not partying, but it's when you're partying that you stay up till late. On nights where I don't go to parties, and yeah, shocker, there's some nights on cruises where I don't go to parties. It happens. People think I'm like this circuit boy that goes to every single party. I don't. It depends on the cruise. But times when I don't go to every party, sometimes I just like to go to like the buffet. Like I just have like a little midnight snack. They keep the buffet open till like 3 or 4 a.m. And I just have like, like a little like coffee decaf, a little decaf coffee, or like pick up a small snack. Just hang out. You can actually meet people. I mentioned this on last week's episode. You can actually meet people just like at the buffet, or when David Lamb was on the podcast a few weeks ago, we were kind of joking, but not actually. It was true. If you go to the pizza place, if there's a pizza place on the cruises, and most of these cruises, if it's on Royal Caribbean, the pizza place is called Sorrento's. They have it on every one of their ships. And that's open nearly 24 hours a day. They close at like some certain times. They close at 1 or 2 or 3 hours within the 24 to clean up or do whatever. But it's open like most of the 24 hours. And it's definitely open during the time of the parties. And it's open till like 5 or 6 a.m. most of the times. It's kind of hilarious and also entertaining to not be at the party and just be at Sorrento's. You don't have to be eating 10 slices of pizza. You can just kind of hang out there and like people watch, because especially when it gets to like the 3, 4, 5 a.m. hour, if you happen to be up that late and you don't want to go to the party, but you just happen to be up, just go to Sorrento's, get an herbal tea or like some sort of non-caffeinated, whatever you want. Grab a slice of pizza. Why not? You're on vacation. And just people watch, because you get to see all the circuit queens leaving the party and they're hungry AF, and either the buffet is closed by then or they just want a pizza, and they'll go there, and it's hilarious to see people in like just a jock strap or whatever the outfit is for the party, literally stumbling to the Sorrento's, to the pizza place, grab like 5 slices of pizza, and sit down and be chowing on it, not sober. Like they've been drinking all night, something. Yeah, so that's what I would say. If you want to go to the parties, go to the parties. And if you don't want to go, then just don't. I mean, as long as the both of you have kind of sort of talked and on the same page about, hey, there's some activities, one of you might want to do that, the other doesn't, and just make your peace with it. If you don't want to go to a party, but your partner does, just tell them like, hey, go have fun. I'm going to go meet some people. I'm going to go to like the piano bar, have a drink, see what music they're playing. I'm going to catch this comedian that's doing stand-up. And then, maybe I'll have like a quiet night in, and then I'll go to bed at like, 11 or 12. And then, when you come home, you wake me up, maybe let's have some sex or something, like whatever it is. So I don't know if that's awesome couples advice, but I did give you the disclaimer. I've never been on one of these things. I've never been on a cruise while I was in an actual relationship. I've always gone when I was single. So hopefully that's kind of sort of like good or useful advice. So yeah, there you go. Again, I do read the comments for the 3 of you that are listening. I do look at the comments, and yeah, just any kind of gay cruise or circuit party. I do a lot of circuit parties as well, and I've got some advice to give. Just circuit parties like the ones on land, doesn't have to be on a ship. Yeah, comment in the YouTube section, the comment section on YouTube for the video, and I will have a look. So as I been wanting to do, or as I've been doing lately, the second half of the podcast will be something not gay cruise related. It will be kind of sort of something else. Today, I want to talk a little bit about my journey doing OnlyFans as a creator. I was talking to another creator, and just having a normal conversation, and they asked me, when you talk to people, do you tell them that you do OnlyFans? Which is an interesting question. And my answer was, it depends on who is asking. I've had discussions about me doing OnlyFans with close friends where maybe I haven't seen them in like a little while. This happened recently. I flew somewhere to be at our friend's birthday party, and there were some other friends they're actually good friends of mine. We just haven't talked for a while with like COVID, and they live in a different city now and everything like that. So we haven't talked in 2 or 3 years. So we're just catching up on what we were each doing, and with someone close like that I feel very comfortable with. And they asked, "Oh, like, what are you doing now? Are you still at so and so job, whatever?" And it's like, "Oh, nope, I do OnlyFans now." It was very like easy and comfortable to just like throw that out there. But if it's someone that either I'm not that close to them, they're not really like a friend, or if it's someone that I don't think understands or has any sort of appreciation that, being a adult content creator does take work and it is a viable business to some extent, then I would just tell them, "Oh, I'm in like, I'm doing a video production or some other things." I was at a job interview for like a regular daytime 9 to 5 IT job. And I was asked about the gap I have in my resume because, the last time I was at a regular 9 to 5 day job was December of 2022. So all of 2023 and so far in 2024, I think I just put video production and I didn't go into details. And I did have a canned answer for, when you go in an interview and, there's like a gap on your resume, it's really good to have a canned response, so to practice your answer when you get asked about that. And that's a whole other can of worms, whole other topic as to whether like employers are sufficiently respectful and, for like career breaks on your resume, how accepting they are nowadays or not about it. But I had a canned response for that one. But I'm probably not going to tell some random corporation that, in like the first round of interview, like I'm probably not going to tell any actual corporate type company that I do OnlyFans, because in the corporate world, they frown upon that unless that corporation is in that adult entertainment industry or is adult entertainment friendly or adjacent, for example, right? This was like some corporate IT job, so like obviously not. So yeah, it's an interesting question, and it's work. Some people, I treat it as a business. Like I literally treat it as a business. My OnlyFans like work. It has its own accounts. It has its own checking account. For example, like the taxes, and I get tax forms and stuff about my OnlyFans. I have expenses that I incur purely because of OnlyFans, for example. So there are people that do, OnlyFans or similar things for fun. Some people just post photos and videos of their stuff for fun. It's not for profit. It's not for financial gain. That's totally cool. Do it for fun. That's great. But I'm over here trying to make it a business. So I treat it, there's definitely a business mentality about pretty much everything I do. I would say of the many hours I spent every week on my OnlyFans, like working on it as a business, only maybe 10 to 20% of any given, like on average, 10 to 20% of the time I spent per week is actually filming and making content. The other 80 to 90% of the time, it's everything behind the scenes, is everything that is like the businessy side of things. That's not filming. So that might be, well, not even like editing the video. So let's say like 20% of my time on average is something to do with filming a video or editing that video. The other 80%, sales, marketing, looking at the data, customer service, looking at like the business model. It's very like businessy things. Think if you got any product that you want to sell, right? Shampoo, right? Okay, you need to make the shampoo. That's fine. You manufacture the shampoo, you bottle up, you get it onto a shelf, right? You put it out there. But no one's gonna know that you make shampoo or that you're selling shampoo, or no one even knows what your brand is. So branding is something I spend a lot of time on for like marketing reasons. So I spend a lot of time on branding. I spend a lot of time on marketing, right? If you're selling shampoo and no one knows about it, are you really selling shampoo? So it doesn't matter what you're selling. You need to have some sort of organized plan or strategy to get that thing you're selling out to people so that people know about it and people might want to buy it, right? So there's a lot around sales and marketing for content creators that are trying to actually make it a business and make it a profitable business. Some people do it full time, like me right now. Some people do it part time, some people do it more like as a side hustle, but it's still like a business. They still expect their side hustle to make some money. Some people do it for fun, and that's completely fine. But the whole point of OnlyFans is you're paying money for the content. Otherwise, you can just post your content on Reddit or Tumblr and Twitter, and you don't need to put it on OnlyFans or one of those platforms where it's a paywall and they're charging money for it. We're just trying to like get the kick of posting adult content. You're not trying to make money of it. You don't need OnlyFans, right? So yeah, it's interesting that question that people ask, because if it's someone that I don't think could have an appreciation for how much of a real business, this can be, I don't tell them that. And especially if it's someone that who's not really like a friend or someone that I care about, like a random person, really at like some random party or something. So, but yeah, I would love it if, that stereotype, that bit of a stereotype of, oh, you do OnlyFans. It's not a real business. It's just like, fucking around, quote unquote. And people like discount you as not doing anything that's really worth your time. For example, there's a slightly different viewpoint of like, oh, people looking down on you doing porn as something that is beneath them or beneath society. That's like a slightly separate viewpoint that I'm not gonna crack open that kind of worms right now. But these might be people where it's not like they look down on sex workers and they don't look down on adult content. They don't look down on people doing porn, but they just don't really think, doing something like OnlyFans or where you're making adult content, in like a, like for lack of a better term, like non-professional amateur, where you're not working for like a studio and you're not kind of taking that traditional route. No, they don't think it's like a viable business. Now, I will say, I don't feel like it's not necessarily true at all, possibly, that people who perform people who do porn, that you can do that for a very, very long time. Most porn stars don't tend to be performing in porn for like a very long time. Whereas if you're an accountant, you could be an accountant for like 40 years, right? If you are if you are a porn actor, a porn performer, doing it for 40 years, it's definitely not the norm. And I don't know if there are any good examples of people doing it for that long, right? So that's just the nature of this type of work, basically. But, these days, though, I feel like there are definitely occupations where you could kind of just be in that field for your whole entire working adult life, from your 20s into your 60s, like You can be a doctor be in the medical field for that long. You can be an accountant. There's like a lot of like traditional careers where you can have that career for like many, many decades, like 4 or 5 decades. And then you obviously advance and get promotion, more money, blah, 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 climb the ladder. And that's great. But there are also a lot of, professions where like not just porn, just like regular type professions where you don't do that for 40 years anyways. And there's, I think these days, as time goes by, people seem to tend to switch careers more. I think we saw some of this during the pandemic where people got laid off and, that spurred some people to try different careers or different lines of work that, they otherwise would not have, right? With the platforms that are available on the internet, someone like me can go do OnlyFans. Like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, like that's not possible. Same for things like YouTube, right? YouTube was YouTube's 12 or 15? Like YouTube's like 15-ish years old, maybe a little bit more. But there are people that have made huge careers out of just being on YouTube. There are people that are starting to make huge careers on TikTok, for example. But 10 years ago, there was no TikTok. Instagram was just photos. There was no way besides YouTube to make video content, right? And now YouTube is distinct from like TikTok. Just with technology advancing, there are kind of these new opportunities for people to, do these different lines of work that didn't exist like 15, 20 years ago. And it makes it, and the barrier entry is so low for some of these that, more people are willing to just try things out. And you can try some of these things out just purely on the side. You don't need to quit your day job to try out some OnlyFans, to try to be an influencer on TikTok, try to be a YouTuber and make some good videos there. And that's how I started my OnlyFans, and that's how I started my YouTube channel. I just did it on the side. So yeah, but it would be great, for as time goes on, for people to recognize that, doing OnlyFans can be a viable line of work. It's a real business. I treat it as a real business. Honestly, like in every sense of the word, like all the things that you think go into running a business, I'm probably doing that for my OnlyFans. Oh, so I'm trying to get into TikTok. I talked about this on a recent episode. I'm going to get into like TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and all that kind of stuff. I just need to just kind of go and do it, but I'm planning that stuff out right now. And I think I've got a lot of opinions on, like you can't tell by now because, you're listening to this podcast, the three of you. I've got a lot of opinions about the things I'm learning about, being an adult content creator and doing OnlyFans. And there's not a ton of people, there's not a ton of gay guys that are talking about that on the internet. So maybe it's an area, kind of like a subject area that maybe one day I'll wander into, because I think there are a lot of females or girls that the majority of OnlyFans creators, I feel like, are girls, possibly. Don't quote me. I don't have the stats. I've not looked it up. But I would love to hear more. I would love it if more gay OnlyFans or kind of adult content creators that are kind of sort of their own business. They don't work for like a studio, for example, people like me, where like, hey, I'm doing everything. I would love to hear more on them talking about it more openly so that the general public gets more exposure to that. This is a real business. It can be some random person that is doing it haphazardly, not treating it like a business. It's possible. Just like anyone can go onto YouTube and just post videos haphazardly. Someone can go onto TikTok and post videos haphazardly, not treating it like a business. But just like with TikTok and YouTube and podcasting, for example, you can do these things. You can be a content creator, not just adult content, but like other types of content, podcasting, YouTube, TikTok, whatever, and treat it like a business and be very successful, or at least successful enough to the point where you can make a living out of it, where you can support yourself and pay all your bills and things like that. Not that, you're going to be making millions, but you can make a decent living out of doing that thing. And, you know, a lot of YouTubers have done it. People on TikTok are doing it. People with podcasts are doing it. And there are people on OnlyFans that are also doing that same thing. So yeah, maybe it's a topic area that someday, maybe not right now. I feel like I'm still learning so much about on the business side, even on like the content creation side. I'm learning so much about running my own business where I am the business. But maybe one day if I feel like I have some actual advice to give or I want to share more of my journey and my story, maybe I'll do some YouTube videos or talk about it on a podcast like this, or I'll share it in some way, shape, or form. Also, some of you had asked what my alt user handle is. I guess I'll put it into I'll put my username into the podcast description so you guys can just copy and paste. But it's KianRaiX. So I thought the three of you watching would know by now, but yeah, I'll put my alt username, alt quote unquote, into the description for this podcast. So you can click down in the description for this episode. And yeah, I'm everywhere on that username. I want to keep that separate from my regular, like the Just Joey T, because I feel like the content is so different. I didn't want to like mix the two types of content because of that. Yeah, but I'm on Twitter. I'm most active there. It's obviously the same as my OnlyFans username. And I'm moving towards, there's also like KianRaiX.com, and I've got my link tree with my own domain and everything. It's got its own email address. It's got its own phone. It's a whole business, and it's run like a business, and it's like a business entity, literally. And everything is linked there on KianRaiX.com. So for the three of you that are interested that don't already know, I'll put that username down below, and I'm that username on all the different platforms. But that will do it for another episode of the podcast. And until next week, bye.